Well, the world is a crazy place, and I thought that I saw a meme the other day, and of course I have a daughter, preteen, and the birds and the bees meme popped up, and it's like, one time you had to explain the birds and the bees to your children. Now you have to explain the birds and the birds and the bees and the bees and the bees that want to be birds and the birds that want to be bees and bees that don't want to identify as bees or birds. And I went, yeah, the world has gone nuts. It truly has. And, our media insists on posting sometimes some of the most ridiculous things that I think are intentionally meant to just keep us distracted and entertained without fully understanding what's going on in the world. But the National Post just posted an article, and of course our broken military is totally about the oppressive, colonial, white privileged situation that we have in our military. We've never had a problem ever recruiting members to our military. And I know I was a part of that system for almost 20 years of my life. I have many good friends who served and continue to serve. And it's shocking to me because the liberal government that we have today, in all their wokeness and their philosophical viewpoints on the world, are the ones that are creating these problems. Think about yourself. If you wanted to go into a really difficult situation, really you want to know that the person that just stands behind you, alongside you, in front of you, that you're working together, right? That you've got each other's back. And there is no such thing as wokeism, and what we're seeing is this weak mentality, and it's being pushed from the top down, and it's absolutely insane that it's even infiltrated our military, but it's infiltrated every institution that we have in Canada. Doesn't matter where you go, you cannot get away from DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. Oh my goodness, heaven forbid you should offend somebody and call them by the wrong pronoun. Death to us all. And yet you see things that are going on in the world that are going to have true impacts. You are seeing piracy coming back at an absolutely exponential scale. So just the other day, yesterday, I believe, attacks in the Red Sea, for example, and I've watched some of the details on this, and there's, a ship that's literally just patrolling back and forth, which, if you're a big cargo ship, you're heading in one direction, you're going, thousands of miles, and then you're coming back, weeks later, not going up and down this little strip patrolling and identifying ships, and ships are being attacked. And now we've got checkpoints virtually in the shipping lanes where, you've got private armed guards that are being hired to take these ships through some of these more precarious areas. And it makes you wonder, because this truly was how the seas were before the United States put an end to the uncertainty with shipping by saying they would be the world's police on the oceans. And that opened up a world of prosperity for so many different countries, because now we were able to trade and we knew the goods were going to get to where they were supposed to be, and we could have commerce, and we were really, that this is the expansion that happened, and the prosperity that was the direct result of that. And now we're seeing that start to break down. So, we already have issues with supply chains, and I do believe most of you who follow this channel know that. But now we're adding another element to it, which is, just absolutely fascinating. There was an article in a headline today, democracy is dying around the world. Wow. Democracy is on life support. It is not even dying anymore. We are on life support. And not that I'm a big fan of democracy anyway. 51% does rule the other 49. I do prefer the model that the US had initially established, Republican. And the problem is they don't even call themselves a republic anymore. They call themselves a democracy, which is fascinating in and of itself, because they're not. They're a republic, which is very different. So, artificial wombs, You know, they're all fascinated now with technology. And I mean, I know for some people who can't have children, they're thinking, oh my God, this is wonderful. But, you know, just think about the repercussions of this, to be able to just grow children, you know, just another commodity almost, as opposed to, you know, the fact of being a mother and the human element of that. You know, we arrested the RCMP, if anybody of you have been watching, and I'm sure you have, David Menzies. You know, David is quite aggressive when he's trying to get, you know, questions answered, but he's always, if you notice, anytime he does stuff, he's very respectful to stay out of the way. He doesn't touch anybody. You know, might get a mic in your face, but he's even very careful to keep that mic a certain distance away. There's no bumping into him or you bumping into him, he bumping into you. And yet you've got an RCMP officer that just, you know, positions himself perfectly for David to just, you know, a slight little touch, and then all of a sudden he's being arrested for assault. This is how politicized everything has become. Now we have MPs and cabinet ministers and politicians that literally, they don't like you, you know, they will, and she says she has nothing to do with. Seriously, you know, if that was any other MP, they probably would have been to the RCMP. Look, back off. You know, he's got a right to ask the questions. You know, please respect my space. Just back off a little bit here. But, you know, she just, again, it's another one of the grins. It was like the same grin when she announced that she was freezing people's bank accounts for having participated in the Freedom Convoy and financing it. You know, the woman is just evil. You know, Globe and Mail, you know, talked a little while back about an article treating oil and gas like a sacred cow. Well, it kind of is a sacred cow. You know, we live today, it's minus 40 some here. I think minus 51 in some places. Can't do that without oil and gas. It is an absolute incredible feat of human ingenuity and innovation and determination, what we have accomplished. And we wouldn't have accomplished any of it without fossil fuels. So just one of my rants today, you know, about where the world is going. It makes you question sometimes. But here's the thing. Politicians in particular, they're very reactionary. They are kind of that lagging factor, right? You want to see the status of society and where society's sentiments lie. Just look at what politicians are saying, doing, and promoting. Save Trudeau, which is just a crackpot, way too far out and left with their own particular agenda. And you're seeing now the backlash even here in Canada against Trudeau and his popularity, lack thereof. So we all have a part to play, I think is my point today. We all have a part to play. I know for so many people, we don't like to watch the news or get involved, and I get it. It's all very negative, and we do need to put on an armor when we do that, because otherwise you will get so depressed and dragged down and into it, and that's not what we want. But we need to know and understand enough to be willing to participate in the truth. And that's, I think, my plea today is to participate in the truth and to not partake in the lie. So what we're seeing today is very totalitarian. There's very much agendas. These big institutions have just really hijacked the media and the narrative. And the only way we take that back is really to stop partaking in the lie. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, if any of you have ever read the Gulag Archipelago, that was, I mean, the book is this thick. It's like 2 inches thick. But the one takeaway, the one thing that we can all do is do not partake in the lie. If you know something is not true, you can't ignore it. You have to address it. If you know the truth, you must speak it. So, you know, we all sometimes feel a little helpless, like we can't do enough. We don't have to do everything. We're not in this alone. We just have to play our little role, one little part, and that is to not partake in the lie, and the rest will take care of itself. So God bless you all. Have a fantastic day. I hope you're having a wonderful start to your new year. And we've got some exciting stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks as we're really going to dive into the Canada Pension Plan and the Canada Pension Plan Investment Board, CPPIB, and the role of a new Alberta pension plan. So stay tuned.